Well, from Boston, in the ironically named Commonwealth of Massachusetts, in the upper right-hand corner of the United States, as we call New England, on the continent of North America, rotating at 900 miles an hour on the blue marble that is the Earth, racing at 19 miles per second around the local star, known as Sol, in the fashionable western spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, Common Invention 616. It's Fido Live number 172.
Oh.
Hello, Chief Colors.
Hello. That was a bit weird hello. Let me try that again. Hello.
My mother trained her parrot how to say hello, and she was told to enunciate the word. And now even she notices she says it strangely. She taught herself how to say hello.
Well, it's very effective.
Hello.
It's like, hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. It doesn't have to
enunciate.
She saw a Merv Griffin bit where the parrot saying, "I left my heart in San Francisco," and so she wanted to train her parrot to say that, and instead all she got was, "I left my heart in San Francisco."
Oh, the parrot was trying.
All opinions and views are solely those of the comic strip Fido. In fact, not necessarily those of the completely uncancelable and valued employee, creator, and handsome man about town, Charles Lincoln Crosby III, who himself has absolutely no opinions on anything. So amidst aromatic clouds of fragrant secondhand smoke, today we might actually get some work done, but don't hold me to it. We'll start this week with everyone's favorite segment, What the Chief Colorist Hath Wrought.
Yeah.
A segment that weekly tests the vows of a 20-year marriage. That's going to go that far. Lost the magnets.
Oh, no, that sucks.
No problem. Well, but this is tomorrow, Monday, the 3rd. We have the classroom. There's Dino, Fido, and the cats are coming in. Why are they here? Yesterday they got Halloween candy from the kids. That's got to be all gone by now. Yeah, we made sure of that. Next Halloween's a year away. We can wait. Let's put that aside. Here is the Tuesday. Cats in the classroom. Huh? I think that's the theme for the week.
Spoon.
Cats in the classroom in the silver. I hadn't thought about that yet. Fido, Closet Cat, Felicia, and Dino. We think the children are not getting a proper education. No kidding. You need a classic cat curriculum, and we are here to provide it. And I didn't think it was possible to do less work at this job. Here's the Wednesday. Fido and Dino. I'm not comfortable with those cats teaching the students. They're likely to corrupt their young minds with subversive cat ideas. Like what? And they're all taking naps. They're all asleep. Closet Cat way back there and Felicia on the desk.
That's the epitome of learning classic cat. Oh,
classic cat techniques?
Yeah, I was gonna try to say it, but no, classic cat curriculum.
There you go. Believe it or not, that's a tongue twister for the chief colorist.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Closet Cat, Felicia, and Fido. Cats decided to be around humans 10,000 years ago. Dogs have been here 30,000 years. The earliest evidence of dogs come from a burial in Germany 15,000 years ago. Still before you cats, dogs were here first. You moved in on our cushy deal. And as they fight in the background, one of the students asked, Dino, will any of this be on the test? It depends on who wins the fight. So I gave the chief colorist a really tough one, this one. Actually 50 stars drawn on that flag. You think she got them all? You think she got them all?
No, I told you I wouldn't. They're too small and too close together.
And when they shrink down, no one's going to notice anything.
They're too small, too close together, too not completely formed. So if I colored around them, they just look like lines.
Well, here's the Friday. They're in the bar. Dino, Closet Cat, Felicia, Bogash and our hero Fido, and later a kid comes in. That's Mike. And I've made Mike's hair look more like cat ears. So, even Mike's been affected by them. Tough week teaching at the school. And the kid walks in, pushes Bo's glass off the bar. But it is rewarding shaping young minds. Here's the Saturday. Now, you remember Saturday always always foreshadows what's going to happen next week.
Mhm.
Let's see if we can figure out what's going to happen next week just from this one. Felicia and Fido. Fido, get my catnip ball. No, it's a fetch. Isn't that what dogs do? We fetch for humans, not for cats. Dogs chase cats. And it's got Closet Cat dressed up in a running suit, sneakers, shorts, t-shirt, headband. Bring back my catnip ball. Chase Felicia. So let's see what the next week will be.
I think it might be dogs training cats.
Oh, because you colored these already. You already know the answer. It could have been dogs chasing cats.
It could have been. But it's not even dogs teaching cats either. It's cats teaching dogs.
Yeah.
I was joking.
Felicia and Bogash, the apartment has been wrecked. Broken beer bottle. There's some liquid on the ground. Smashed television. Ripped couch. Where you have failed, I can train Fido using classic cat techniques. Okay, teach him to sit, lay down, and roll over. How about play dead? Not if you're using classic cat techniques. So, I probably should put a, notice this. I should close the balloon right there. See how it's not closed? Okay. Cat trains dog to sit. Felicia sitting on a chair, says to Fido, I've got something important to talk to you about. Take a seat. No, what is it? It's difficult to talk about. Here, sit. I don't care. So, not as easy as you thought, huh? And then he hits Fido with the chair, busting it over him. And technically, his butt is in the seat.
This is true. That is a win.
Wednesday, cat trains dog. Fido's sleeping on the couch. Felicia pokes her head in, comes in and gives him the command, lie down. Good dog. That doesn't count. Sorry, laying down. Thursday, Felicia comes up to Bogash with a rope. Cat trains dog. Bogash, could you tie this to the bumper of your truck and drive away? What's going on? I'm training Fido to roll over or be dragged down the street. We're experimenting here. All wrapped in rope. Okay, Friday. Now I still have to do the background wall here of the bar, but otherwise this is done. Ready for filming. Dino, Bo, Felicia, and the Closet Cat with a bell. Cat trains dog. I've improved upon the techniques of a scientist named Pavlov to train Fido. When Closet Cat rings a bell, Fido will do as I say. And Closet Cat starts ringing the bell. Felicia says, stop making that noise. Fido says, yeah, cut it out. And he's knocked Closet Cat to the ground, shoved the bell in his mouth. He's taking his stool back. Bo says, why did Pavlov think of that? I don't think he had a cat. So I probably should point out the changes to the Fido font. Now, I usually have, and I'll pull this in closer rather than have Irving move. See how the verticals are just very thin lines, and I go harder on anything to the right. Well, I've made it a little bit cleaner here. You can see the verticals are still thin, heavier on the right, and we're still perfecting the Fido font.
Okay.
Trying to make it look cartoony but legible. Well, we could work on this one. This might be the Saturday. Closet Cat, Felicia, and Fido. And Fido says, if we work together, we can accomplish things we could never do alone. Like what? Come with me. And in a sort of animal pyramid, they reach up for the cookie jar on top of the cabinets. And as the cats have fallen on the floor and take off, Fido walks away with the cookie jar. Like, get me these cookies. We can accomplish things we never did before. Like what? Like, get me these cookies. So we could ink that one today. Who knows? I'll put that up there. And here we have what could be the Monday. Now, this just requires finished penciling. You guys really can't see much, so I'll explain what's going on. The animals, Fido, Closet Cat, and Felicia, are all around a plan that's laid out on the table. And Bo comes in. What are you guys doing? Nothing. And Felicia says, we're plotting against you. As Fido has completely grabbed up the plans and he's hiding them. He's completely shocked. Yeah. And Bogash and Felicia laugh it off. Fido's kind of pissed off. Fido says, why'd you tell him? He will never believe we could get together and do anything. Oh, we could do the finished penciling on that one today. Okay. Or I think there's another one written. Let me check the scripts. We could start at a completely blank piece of paper. Oh, have I already done that? Yeah, I did. Never mind. I already did this one. It's right here. So we're not going to pull out the comics calibrator and just do a lot of measuring. All right. Nothing's been done here. Hey, we can do some rough penciling today. Okay. Yeah, maybe do that. So in this one, it's sort of the mirror of the last one you just saw, where the animals are all around the table with the map, and probably do the same layout. Fido says, if we're going to organize against the humans, we all have to agree on what we want to get. And Felicia says, of course. And Closet Cat says, obviously. And Fido says, and we all, of course, want ... Felicia says, tuna. Closet Cat says, catnip. On the last panel, same situation as the first panel, but instead it's Dino and Bo rather than the cats. And Fido says, if we're going to organize against the cats, we all have to agree upon what we want to get. ... Reset with the humans. We could do this. Yeah, we'll do the rough penciling on this today. Get ourselves a nice new Dixon Ticonderoga pencil. Ooh. Yeah, let's do that. Reaching so far away. You might recognize this pencil. This is the actual pencil that they forced you to use to do all the SATs because it's erasable. And having a pencil that's erasable is actually quite useful. Okay. Get over to the electric pencil shop into there, because otherwise all this is pointless. Kill me. Irving on camera one. Can you zoom in a little bit here so we can actually see if we're any other work we might be doing? Let's get that somewhere. Centered. Yeah, that works. Get comfy in the seat. Now, as y'all know, cartoonists are the dirtiest, filthiest creatures on the face of the planet, so I have to wear a glove to keep from getting any more of my filth on the page. It actually also allows my hand to slide around nice. It's kind of cool. And I also like to put down a piece of paper just to keep me from smearing any of the pencil lines, which I could.
What kind of piece of paper are you going to use?
And I assure you, this is not an excuse for a bit. So last week, we talked about the Disney purchase of Lucasfilm, which gave them Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Willow, Howard the Duck, American Graffiti, Land Before Time, Radioland Murders, LucasArts Games, ILM, and Skywalker Sound. And we asked a question on the back of the envelope, simple calculation that anyone could do with numbers available on Google, whether or not they should have purchased Lucasfilm. And since they are $5.567 billion in the hole, the conclusion was probably not. Now, nobody quite burns money like Kathy Kennedy, and her big mistake was feminizing Star Wars. The Force is female and all that stuff, and she turned Star Wars, and she made Star Wars have something I call the Endor effect. That's when you do so much damage to your product, even something good can't save you. Reportedly, Endor is good, but no one's watching it because they're so pissed off at what happened in The Last Jedi. Now, I, in my misogynistic ways, might have said that if Kathy Kennedy was a man, she would have been fired. How did Kathy Kennedy ever keep her job? If she was a man, she would have been fired. Well, I would like to apologize to all the women out there. Enter Kevin Feige. Also a Disney employee, but he's doing Marvel.
Oh.
Thank you. Now I have the list here of all the Marvel films we want to do. So we're gonna do the same exact thing we did last week with the envelope, back to the envelope calculations. But this time we're gonna do Disney Star Wars. No, sorry, Disney Marvel.
Okay.
We did Disney Star Wars last week, did Disney Marvel this week.
All right.
So, let's see. In 2009, they purchased Marvel for $4 billion. So we're going to do negative $4 with a B. All of the movies they made to date,
$1.50.
they've spent $8 billion. So negative 8. But these movies have been rather successful, and they have made, so there's a plus there, $29 billion.
Yeah, but everybody from the whatever places this already came out.
And we're not going to include advertising here because it's too difficult. But we must say they've spent $2 billion making the TV shows. And those all went to Disney Plus, so they made zip, zero, nada, nothing. But after all these calculations on the back of the envelope, we can say that Kevin Feige, no, maybe, we can say Disney Marvel has made $15 billion profit. Wow, how wonderfully successful Disney Marvel is. So should Disney have purchased Marvel?
I'm guessing not.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes, because they've made money on Disney Marvel.
True. Okay.
However, should they keep Kevin Feige?
No.
Well, Kevin has done a lot of internal backstabbing. He has very sharp elbows, and when Iron Man first started out with, he had people who forced him to make the higher quality films, I would say.
Okay.
People who said, no, we probably shouldn't do a Black Widow movie because, well, girls don't buy toys like that sort of thing. Kevin almost got fired, in fact, in 2015. When Kevin finally got rid of everyone and took over the palace coup at Marvel, Kevin said he confirms his plans for more female-led superhero movies after Captain Marvel is released.
Because that worked so well.
Yeah, yes. Which made our friend Gary Beegler come up with the famous phrase, "This is now the MCU," as women after women replaced the male stars. We have She-Hulk, we have Ironheart, we have Kate Bishop, America Chavez. Whatever happened to her?
I don't know.
Female Hulk, and of course we even swapped off the Black Widow for Miss Pugh here. So I have here a list of Marvel Phase 1 and 2, 3. We'll go to the other ones now. Right around here at 2015, 2016, Kevin Feige takes over. And Captain America Civil War made $193 million. They're happy with that. Guardians of the Galaxy, $154 million. Black Panther, big success, $476 million, which I don't get because that film sucked.
It's the second one, right? Or is it still the first one?
No, that's the first one.
Okay.
And then Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, made $103 million. Okay, you don't spend $300 million to make $100 million, but well, it could have been worse. Thor, the original, Ragnarok, big success, 174 million. Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame were there, 500 million to 890 million profit.
Wow.
Fantastic. But then, he did what he said he was going to do after Captain Marvel. Well, he was going to add. Here we go. Kevin Feige confirms plan for more female-led superhero films, and Captain Marvel made 212 million, still a profit. Okay, full steam ahead. On they did a Inhumans TV show, which did not do well at all. It only appeared in IMAX for a little while, so it made 5 million in IMAX. So at least it made that, but it made zilch, zippo, nada on the on streaming, obviously. So things start falling apart a bit in Phase 4, and the Miss Marvel TV series, which lost them 150 million, the Multiverse of Madness made them 154 million, but it was still considered sort of a disappointing film. That's a film that gave us American Chavez. Whatever happened to her?
No idea.
Thor: Love and Thunder, also a disappointment. It made 111 million, and you don't want to spend 400 million to only make one. She-Hulk, complete bomb. They lost 225 million. It was on streaming.
That's it.
Secret Invasion, another streaming bomb. And what we see here are TV shows that just don't do well. What If, Guardians, what else? There's some other TV show here. Oh, whatever. Anyway, Secret Invasion. Don't forget Hawkeye. That didn't do well. That's not on this list, I don't think. So Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium comes out in theaters, and what? It loses $192 million. Then the Marvels, the biggest loss ever, $237 million.
Oh.
Brie Larson is lost to us forever. Farewell to America's sweetheart. But fortunately, Guardians of the Galaxy, after sitting around long enough, finally people start coming back because they hear it's a good film, and they make 159 million. So big success there. But we see a growing problem here in that Kevin Feige's films are starting to come in lower quality and are not making as much money as they used to. These used to be billion-dollar franchises.
What
Now,
a time to be promoted.
Let's see this. This week. What if? Yeah, here we go. Then we have Ironheart. No idea what the cost of that was, but it was a horrible production. Eyes of Wakanda. I don't know. Marvel Zombies, another girl boss thing. And Wonder Man is coming out soon. The only successes, of course, Deadpool and Wolverine, made them $1.1 billion. And Kevin Feige had nothing to do with it. Captain America: Brave New World then comes out. Loses them an estimated $220 million. Thunderbolts comes out. Maybe they might have made 8.9 million. Not billion, but million. They might have just squeaked even on Thunderbolts, but just like Captain America: Brave New World, they're not sure. And the Fantastic Four: First Steps looks to be, let's say, disappointing. It wasn't a billion-dollar film. And what do we have next coming from Kevin Feige? This $600 million scriptless as far as we know, still doesn't have a script, but it's finished filming. Kevin's claim to fame was that he was able to hose down the runway to bring in a crashing project to rescue it. And you don't have to hose down a runway, as James Gunn would say, if you had a script to begin with. And of course, James Gunn is going to give us Supergirl. Oh, I'm sorry, not that one. This one. And James, the internet has helped you out. Here's an idea that came on the internet for Supergirl's outfit that you might want to consider. So I had said that if Kathleen Kennedy was a man, she would have been fired. But I guess I stand corrected. Kevin Feige, still to this day, has his job. Will he after Doomsday? Yes, I think he will. If Kathleen Kennedy still has her job after Last Jedi, no problem. Give Kevin Feige a bonus after he loses $600 million on Doomsday. So we've been enjoying having Sweeney on the board all month. I mean,
Lee?
And I had mentioned to Sydney that, you don't really need this underdress underneath this sheer garment that they're doing. And I think she listened to me. Here's Sydney in her chainmail Vanity Fair outfit. Sydney, I think the years are starting to show. Let's look at old Sydney, where we went in with a pencil and showed the cheek lines and the slight smile wrinkles. Now look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 wrinkles there. Big, heavy, fat cheek. This face has gained 15 pounds. Even the chin is drooping down here more, and she has a lot more neck than she has over here. And she's got her hair covering. Remember, I mentioned that she has a droopy eyelid here.
Yeah.
Well, she covered it here. So Sydney's showing off her Sweeney's as best she can. And let's see, where's our left hand? Yeah, she doesn't have anything. Hey guys, no ring right there, man. Yep. There's still chance. There's still hope. Mm-hmm. So Sydney's done her best to cinch up her waist. Look at how even the chainmail is like wrapped around here to squeeze that together. And you wonder if she can breathe. But she's got this huge. Look at this. It's a triangle. Let's get in here with a ruler. Oh my God! Let's go from that small point to that apex, and we got that small point right there to that apex. And this is a familiar angle. Let's bring it on the comics calibrator. And yes, it's the same angle that I use for my lettering. That's 22.5 degrees from that shoulder to down there. So you see, if anyone asks me in the future why I slant my lettering that way, I'm going to say because of Sydney Sweeney.
Okay, you can do that.
So are we going to have Supergirl on the page? No, but it's an idea you should consider, Kevin. James Gunn for James Gunn Supergirl. And are we going to replace our old Sydney with our older Sydney? Oh, Sydney, tick tock, the years are falling. The years are catching up to you. Better start making that money. Okay, we are going to have to draw something. Hey, Sydney, I'm going to use you after all.
Ooh.
Now, I'm going to put you under here. Now, see this? See how I have this line going down the center of her face? Now,
yes.
That's the line that we're going to use to tell us where the paper is going to be, because I have to make vanishing points. This is a 2-point perspective, one point over there and 1 point over there. And let's see, since there's a lot of text here, we're going to be looking down. So I'm going to make the horizon line right there at the bottom of the text. So you can't see it, but way over here, oh, you can actually, way over here next to old Sydney, I'm making a dot. And way over here next to slightly less older Sydney, we're going to put a dot right there on her shoulder. See that dot? No, those are our vanishing points. Let's get Irving back in here. Now let's see if I can get both vanishing points in the frame.
It's kind of tight, and you're not supposed to draw your people that small.
Right there, and you can't see this one over here. Well, okay, we'll do it like that anyway, just so you remember there's a vanishing point over there. Now, we're doing basically the same thing here. I'd like to take what I have here and just shrink it down. So what are we looking at here? The table would go from edge to edge. So from there to there, a little bit more than halfway. Stay with us, Sydney. Older Sydney. So from older Sydney, we go, say, midway down. Let's see, you got to leave room for Dino. Let's say about right there. I got to leave room for Bo, too. Yeah. Actually, this is the dog. This is the animals on this one. Okay, room for closet cat, so that's enough room for chair on this side. So we're gonna say that is the tabletop. We'll go to old Sydney's shoulder. Now I'm gonna draw outside the panel. Doesn't matter, but at least that tells me where the table is. Now we go to older Sydney over here to get this line from that point to about there. And now if we assume that the table ends exactly there, we're going to go from that mark to old Sydney's shoulder. And does that feel right? Yeah, that feels right. The table is not a square, it's a rectangle. And as long as it feels right, that's good enough for us.
That's right.
Because if it feels right, it makes me happy. And why are we here, folks?
To make you happy.
To make me fucking happy. You got that right. Right, Sydney? Right. So let's get the table fixed out here. Underneath the table, there are these stretchers. Actually, this stretcher will go from here to up there. Go from older Sydney to here. Feels about right. And from old Sydney to there. Now you say, wow, wait a minute, not much of that stretcher is showing. Yeah, because the overhang of the table is blocking it. Yes, you are going to be looking down on this table here. Let's finish up the legs. And all this will look better once I get everything fleshed out more. Now I'm going to assume.
Don't assume.
Yeah, no, I must assume.
Okay.
We got to figure out how long this leg is because it may affect whether this leg back here is seen at all. I'm going to say, because it feels right, that leg ends right there below the panel. Now let's go to old Sydney shoulder. I'm going to make a mark somewhere over here and right to that apex. And yes, just a tiny little bit of that leg is being seen. Let's get the baseboard in here. Sorry, I have to go from older Sydney to right. Let's see if that was going. Got to leave enough room for Fido's seat.
As in his butt or
no,
his seat?
The
Table.
The dogs and cats have like child seats that they sit on at the table. The child seat of Felicia would be about right here, and just draw a couple of lines to make it feel right. Go from older Sydney's shoulder here to that line. And what's nice about this ruler is if you lay it down like this, you get a perfectly square line. And oops, I think we reached that certain part of the show when where the cartoonist has to empty his nose.
Yeah. This is the part that tries the very fabric of the.
Well, we certainly don't want to have. We don't want to sniffle on the microphone.
No, I think that would be better.
Okay. Let us. Could you stand over there for a second, older Sydney? Just using the mark. Now you might ask, I've used old Sydney here for my vanishing point. Why didn't I find some points that might be obvious on a older Sydney here that I could use for vanishing points? And that's probably a good idea. I just couldn't do that now because there's no way to do the register properly. Let's see, the register is that line down the center of her face. Let's make sure that stays there. All right, let's get the cat chair in here. This leg should be parallel to that leg. And since our ruler rolls on these wonderful wheels, we can get those parallel lines.
Nice.
This ruler does half of your work for you. I don't know how anyone draws a comic strip without a rolling ruler. And let's get that seat finished. It's just basically drawing a box. You've seen these before. Anyone at home drawing your comic strip. Now I'm going to match up to this leg and just move it over there, and that's where that leg goes the apex of the box. You don't see anything on that side, so don't draw it. Oops, keep the register in Sydney. There you go. Thank you. Now we know Felicia will be sitting here, so I'm just going to do a little circle, a little thing, and so there's the cat.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to draw right now. And you're not seeing much on the screen, are you? But this is rough penciling. Now, Fido, we know his child seat will be over there, but as a seat, her seat's below the level of the table, so is his. So we really don't have to draw very much of it, and so.
What are you questioning?
Well, I'm just doing these little. All you really see underneath the table is this one part of the leg of the child seat that Fido is sitting in.
Okay.
Everything is below the table. But we have to remember that there are chairs on this table. I'm going to remove them just for clarity's sake. They'll return when Dino and Bo are in the last panel. But for clarity's sake, if the chair were here, it would completely block out any sign of where Fido is sitting. And people might read it as him just sort of floating at the edge of the table. So I'm thinking he's got both hands on the table. Closet cat sort of sits casually on this side. I'm going to droop his head a little bit so it stays below the lettering, firstly. And secondly, it sort of fits the character of the cat, of the animal. This leg is bent in and this leg is bent up, but it's behind Felicia. She'll never see it. So usually I would just carry on. This is just the layout. This is what you would call stick figures. But I'm just going to put another sharp point on this pencil.